Hey guys, Todd Vandermide back again for another edition of Freedom Steel, former NRA contract lobbyist, Illinois gun law guru. We did an update yesterday on the Illinois gun ban. I'm just going to kind of phrase it as the Illinois gun ban, but we're going to talk about a couple of different things here. First off, so we got the decision out of the Court of Appeals, and it's a bad decision. It's just bad legally. They double down on Friedman. They think Friedman is still good law. What a crock of bullshit. But it is what it is. And doing some other research, I found a whole bunch of other stuff that Easterbrook has written that is just out there that just denotes his seething and rage against the Second Amendment. But so we got the decision. In the middle of getting the decision, the FFL plaintiffs, FFL, GSL, GOA, were working on tackling the registration scheme. FFLs across the state are hearing from customers. Guys like myself and Eric Cowles, president of ASC, are getting earfuls of questions and stuff from members out at Aurora Sportsman's Club, all kinds of stuff. And so everybody was like, we got to deal with this because the initial tactic was we were going to file a suit on guns and parts, which is what we did. We were going to file a second suit dealing with the registration components and some of the other interpersonal parts of it, and magazines would be its own thing. So we were originally talking about possibly three different lawsuits to tackle parts of this statute. That doesn't even get to everything. But we drew a good judgment, McGlynn, and the thought was instead of starting a new lawsuit all over again, it would be better for us to amend our original complaint and throw the registration stuff in there on top of the guns, the parts, and all that kind of stuff. So lo and behold, the decision comes out. And then we had filed for our we had filed our amended complaint on 11/2. November 3rd, we get the decision from the Court of Appeals and the three-judge panel. And so that slowed down our filing of a motion for a preliminary injunction. We had to revise that a little bit because of some of the things that the court said there. We got all that put together, filed that, and it was filed on the 13th. And then on the virtually the same day, the state of Illinois filed for an extension of time. The judge denied that the very next day. We were in a conference hearing yesterday to talk about scheduling and the orders and all that. Now, mind you, while all that is going on, and so on the 17th of November, we filed a petition for an en banc rehearing in front of the full Court of Appeals from the decision of the three-judge panel. Now, the Southern Illinois plaintiffs had been talking together. Mr. Mag decided to file his own notice of seeking review en banc, pretty early. The rest of the groups, FFL, GOA, GSL, were coordinating through their attorneys with ISRA, Second Amendment Foundation, FPC, and NSSF. And so we were, we were going to file. And one of the reasons is there's a belief that we have passed the time when, if we filed a petition in front of the court, the Supreme Court, that they would take it, that there's not enough time left to get it through conference, on the docket, and have briefings completed before orals. I don't know if that's actually true. I look at the calendar and I think there might be more time. there might be enough time, but I'm told that there's an informal cutoff date that the court has. It's not published. I don't know exactly what it is, but that's where we are. So let's dive into this petition in front of the court. And part of it, just our side comes out swinging. So reading from our petition, the Supreme Court's decision in New York State Rifle and Pistol Association v. Bruin marked a paradigm shift in how lower courts approach Second Amendment law. But one would be hard-pressed to appreciate that from the panel opinion in these consolidated appeals. Yes, that's true. Continuing, yet rather than meaningfully engage with textual and historical analysis Bruin laid out, the panel majority embraced a remarkable proposition that Illinois' ban does not even implicate the Second Amendment on the theory that none of the newly outlawed rifles, pistols, shotguns, and feeding devices are arms at all. Continuing, we go on to say the panel reached that startling result, moreover, by postulating that whether weapons are arms, within the meaning of the Second Amendment, turns on whether they be, quote, reserved for military use, end quote. A head-scratching proposition that is more tautology than test. Making matters worse, the majority put all the arms Illinois has banned on the may be reserved for military use side of that line. And I'm going to interject here. I mean, that includes 22s. Remember, the Illinois gun ban affects 22s like the 1022. It affects things like the 870. It affects the 1100. You know, all kinds of that stuff. That is their line. But, you know, those are things that get, you know, SIG mosquitoes can be banned under this. So I'm continuing. On the equally head-scratching theory that semi-automatic AR-15 rifle and a fully automatic M16 rifle are indistinguishable, a proposition that no doubt would come as a surprise to, among others, the author of Bruin, who authored an opinion in the court explicitly rejecting the very claim nearly 3 decades ago. See Staples v. United States. Yeah, Staples sat there and said that AR-15s are in common use. And so we get through a bunch of other restating of the history of the case and all that. And we really start to get into the meat of it. The petition, the actual arguments in the petition are only about 17 pages long. The panel majority began with Bruin's threshold textual inquiry, what it called Bruin's first step. Although Bruin was explicit that Heller had supplied the Second Amendment definition of arms, namely anything that a man wears for his defense or takes into his hands or useth in wrath to cast at or strike another, District of Columbia v. Heller, the panel majority did not acknowledge, let alone apply, that definition. Instead, it claimed to discern from Heller an implicit caveat excluding weapons that may be reserved for military use. Yeah, that was fabricated out of whole cloth by the Court of Appeals. And our side continues. After criticizing Bruin's instruction to force on how and why of historical laws for good measure, the majority discarded the common use tradition in favor of a purported historical distinction between weapons and accessories designed for military or law enforcement use and weapons designed for personal use. Once again, the majority nowhere explained what exactly puts an instrument on one side of that line or the other, let alone why semi-automatic rifle that no military in the world issues as a service weapon falls on the military side. And you can add to that because I don't think anybody's issuing 1022s as service rifles. I don't think anybody is issuing SIG mosquitoes as service rifles. But if you take this military context, then 870s, Model 12s, Model 97s. We've got the grandkids over, so if you hear a little squalling in the background, it's the oldest one running around doing whatever 2-year-olds do. So there's all that. I mean, yeah, the Remington 700, the Model 70, all those bolt-action rifles that are sniper rifles. They're not semi-autos, but they could fit in what has been termed a military veto of the subject here. So that's the crux of what they did in there. We'll go through the decision at length, but so we've got this appeal up and it closes out in a fairly strong way. And the closing paragraph, since Bruin, this is the first federal appellate court to uphold a categorical ban on semi-automatic weapons in certain magazines. That alone should give the full court pause. In the year plus since Bruin, no other circuit has so aggressively stripped its citizens of the fundamental right Bruin vindicated. It is also difficult to overstate the practical importance of this case. Not only has Illinois banned virtually every modern rifle on the market, but within a matter of weeks, HB 5471 will turn millions of people into criminals unless they get rid of their lawfully acquired and constantly protected arms or register them en masse, something that fewer than 10,000 people have so far proven willing to or able to do. When the stakes are this high, the panel opinion this wrong, the path forward should be clear. So I think that's fairly straightforward. I think it's pretty powerful in the appeal that we have set out here, and we're going to see if the en banc panel, worst case, they deny it, but we get, hopefully we get a few strong dissents out of it, or worst case is they take it and we lose again. We think the panel might be evenly split and potentially, could tilt our way a little bit. It'll be interesting. And we're waiting on the Fourth Circuit. Yesterday the Fourth Circuit issued their Maryland FOID card ruling, came out in our favor. We'll see if that one's going to go en banc or if it's going to go to the Supreme Court. Because if that one comes out in favor and this one is this way, we have a split in the courts. And that makes everything a lot more plausible and more reason, even though we are still on an interlocutory appeal, where this is on a preliminary injunction. This is not the final ruling, but we're going to get deeper into the weeds on this because we're going to get another bite at the apple with Judge McGlynn next month. So guys, as always, thanks for your support. We want you to like, subscribe, copy, paste the link below, and if you can hear, here's Nathan, my grandson. Everybody's always asking how Nate's doing, and he is going to be taking a trip up to the Mayo Clinic for some tests and evaluations to see if we can figure out some of his stuff. But guys, I want to mention a couple things. So this case with FFL, GOA, and GSL is really the first big bite at the apple on the issue of registration and tackling that issue. It's not being argued forcefully much of anywhere else in the country, and I believe this is really one of the first frontal attacks on the concept of registration post-New York that's being made out there. And I think that it's due because of the work that FFL Illinois, being supported by GSL and Gun Owners of America. But this is what SADC, the Second Amendment Defense and Education Coalition, is all about. I'm the vice president on there. This is the kind of litigation that SADC was designed to be a funding mechanism for, in helping fund straight up good 2A challenges to protect our rights. And I will leave a link in everything below to please, if you can donate this holiday weekend, if you can find a few extra shekels to sit there and drop, please do it, because it's going to get more expensive with what we've had to do on this amended complaint, the second motion for an injunction, and all the other lawyering that's going to go into this. And we have some more issues we would love to tackle. It just depends on funding. And that's the biggest thing. Remember, we're paying for this lawsuit twice. We're paying the government lawyers with our tax dollars, and we have to fundraise to do this all on our own. And we appreciate everybody that has supported us up to this point. But really, it's like a telethon, and your contributions go really, really far in helping us bring these fights to the other side. And so, with that, as always, have a happy Thanksgiving. God bless our troops who are away from the dinner table this holiday season, as well as those first responders who will be out looking over us in light of the news coming out of New York this afternoon. As always, frag out.